Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This John's report is for the 12th of May. Well, bulls tried a move back up towards the 23%, but given the rise of NBI white and continued decline of DOC midterm buyers in green and red here, as well as continuing drop of the shakeout, weren't able to sustain it, and selling resumed. It was significant. It was across the board in a lot of different areas. NASDAQ again continuing to make new lows. Similar readings, but a little bit of a spike up here of the magenta NBI, but still below yellow. That continued drop of the orange DOC, something to watch because of a dip below 7.5 range would indicate a fairly decent potential for a rally from there. Again, the euro, despite every attempt to push up, it just keeps getting driven down, and it's simply an effect of what the EU is doing, continuing to shoot itself economically, and of course the reduction of natural gas coming out of one of the pipelines from Ukraine is a big concern for them. So the inflation there is going to continue to rise, and they're in a much different position since commodities aren't priced in euros but in dollars. Gold, a little bit of basing. It's got a potential for a turnaround at this particular stage here. Starting to see it. Of course, inflation numbers came out higher than expected. Everyone thought they were going to be slowing down, but it may be another couple of weeks before you start to see that effect with oil prices and that starting to really drag on the economy. From an oil standpoint, big jump back up, again maintaining that move over 100, and as long as it stays over that 100, you still have the elevated inflationary issues that are compounded with that, and so that just doesn't help the situation. Potential move that as it was heading back towards under 100 would have been helpful, but not at this particular time, and that's because inventories keep being drawn down. And again, Bitcoin keeps falling further, putting even more pressure overall on its ability to maintain certain levels. Now we're at that previous algo level. I had to reboot my system, so the line I had previously drawn for is at the 34, and then as well at the 28. All those positive extremes from way back have been filled from the daily, so no surprise with that. We expected it. It was just a matter of time and following each of those individual runs as they took place, but there's been no change in the sell signal since it came in back over here at 40K, and it's a significant drawdown, almost as bad as some of the tech stocks. And ETH had a little bit of that run up, and then boom, it caught its sell signal middle part of the morning and continued all the way through. And so again, nice and clean with that. Really like the way that trades. From an ES standpoint, sell signal started up here and really never abated throughout much of the day. From a 5K standpoint, we had that early morning pump and get the sell signal, and then boom, the CPI number came out pre-market, and that just plummeted things. And then they started to build that up, sort of a counter trade to it, figuring that they had exhausted all of the downside movement things. And then we traded back and forth. There were some decent moves within that. I mean, it's still pretty good, going from 21s down into the zeros. I mean, 20-point move. Still going to collect even on that turnaround. But then the selling started, we kept moving to the zeros, and we kept seeing the spike of NBI weights coming over. And so even when we had this turnaround move, came all the way up and then started its breakdown, and that really was the trigger that was just too much to bear, and straight on down. Then we get that kind of a situation here where you start off looking good from continuation short, and then the magenta pops up. It still gave plenty of opportunity. It can fool you a little bit if you think, wow, it's above NBI yellow, but price is still dropping. That's your opportunity to exit. And sure enough, it stayed above, built up, and brought it back up. but not for very long. We ended up with some soft sells that had the turnarounds coming before the magenta cross below the white down here, and that would have been a little bit more negative, but it turned out to be once it popped up to the peak and broke down and ended up with a DOC spread at the same time. Those are powerful combinations when they go together, and that's exactly what happened. It was just straight on selling all the way through. Even here, where we had the magenta cross above, if you're below the 23, you know you're going to get some degree of a pump, whether you cover in that particular case or not, or wait for a little bit. It was much stronger once you had the magenta overweight at this particular stage, right below the 23, and then once it cleared the white MBI coming back down, it was clean little pop up and boom, cross below. Literally started right there at the first crossover and then just continued down. Now we got to see it back popping back up, but that's within a DOC spread, so that's probably going to trade down and sideways a little bit further. It's just fantastic action out there. Some people always think when you get volatility like this to run from it, but with the signals that we have, it's an opportunity to be aggressive within it. So I like it. I think it's going to continue because there's just no clear direction, and the policy of the Fed is not really defensive of bulls at this particular stage. So it's a fight back and forth until people realize or reach a point where they believe there's value in the reductions that we've seen. And when that happens, then we'll go. But we're getting close to that 38.50 range that we should start to see some serious buyers want to take advantage of it based on just multiples and that. That doesn't mean that that's going to be the end of it. It just means that we're likely to see some nice rallies in between. But overall, you saw that daily. It's still ugly. We'll see the early changes. First on the 5K, but then the 50K will turn around and give us a clear signal from there. As always, though, trade well. Look for me in a Skype chat. Talk to you later.